fighting games. I'm not really that into them. I mean, yeah, obviously I like Smash Bros. Because I'm a Nintendo fan, but other than that, I don't really play other fighting games. And hey, what better way to try and introduce myself into the medium than a series I am already familiar with? Sonic is a series that has dipped their toes in a lot of different genres. We got kart racers, sports games, lots of pinball, whatever boom was, and of course, fighting games. While there haven't been many Sonic fighting games, I think that it would still be fun to go through the ones that we do have and see if they offer a fun fighting experience or just suck. First up, we have Sonic the Fighters, which was an arcade-exclusive fighting game based on, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. The game has been re-released a few times on the GameCube, PS2, PS3, and Xbox 360. I will be playing the version available in the Sonic Gems collection on GameCube because I just don't really want to plug in my Xbox. So this game has a pretty good selection of characters, going from some classic characters like Sonic and Knuckles to some new guys like Bean the Dynamite. Each character has their own move set, which I doubt is anything too crazy. I mean, it's just some random obscure Sonic fighting game. Oh. Yeah, so this game's movesets are quite robust, with all kinds of moves and combos to try and figure out, but I also found that it was just easier to spam the same moves over and over again without really doing any thinking. Yeah, whenever I actually tried to do different moves, I ended up just feeling like I was getting punished for it, so I just sort of stuck to my same old strategies over and over again, and it tended to work out. I mostly just played as Sonic, but I did try out a few other characters like Knuckles, who is similar to Sonic, but was slower and more powerful, and Fang the Sniper. He has a gun. One thing I do really like about the game, though, is the low poly early 3D look it has. Since Sonic mostly skipped out on the early 3D days, I always find it fun to look at what a mainline 3D Sonic game might have looked like during this time. I do think that this is a game that you will get more joy out of if you are already a fan of more traditional fighting games, because that's pretty much what this is. It's basically just a normal fighting game with more Sonic references and movesets added into it. But the game's main arcade mode does have a bit of a story to it, which I find interesting. We see that Eggman has made a new Death Egg called the Death Egg 2, along with the return of Metal Sonic alongside it. Basically just Sonic 4 Episode 2. In this game, though, the Death Egg 2 looks like this for some reason. It's definitely an interesting look, to say the least. So obviously, when Eggman makes a new evil contraption, Sonic is going to want to go and take it down. But you see, instead of just going to take him down, Sonic's friends want to hold a tournament on who gets to do so. Very productive of them. After winning all of the fights, you then must go on to the Death Egg and do this stupid Metal Sonic fight that I don't like because he makes me mad when he grabs me and then drops me and it takes away like half of my health bar. But then after you defeat him, the Death Egg begins to self-destruct while Eggman is using his final moments to try and keep you from escaping. Then you just punch him like 3 times and he dies. The end. Yeah, this game wasn't bad, and it seems like some effort went into it, but I probably won't be playing it again. So after this game was released, we didn't really see any Sonic fighting games for a while, but in the early 2000s, the developer Dimps had been making the Sonic Advance games for the Game Boy Advance. These games are very well regarded by Sonic fans, and while I haven't played them much, I can definitely see the appeal. But during their time on GBA, Dimps made another kind of Sonic game. I'm not going to try to add suspense here, you already know this is a fighting game video, so yeah, they made a fighting game. But this isn't your traditional fighting game. We already had that with Sonic the Fighters. Dimps added a new twist to make this game stand out a lot more. Instead of your traditional 2D fighting game, we actually have a 3D fighting game. You have full reign of the terrain around you and can go pretty much anywhere you can see. For the GBA, this is extremely impressive. This console was not known for making 3D games, so even though this may not look crazy to today's standards, it's still a big deal. Another aspect I really like about this game is the art style. It isn't really present during the battles themselves, since they basically just use the Sonic Advance sprites, or ones that are just very similar. But on the box art and other artwork for the game, we see this really cool art style with sharp corners and bold outlines. It reminds me a lot of Mario Strikers, and I really like it. But moving into the actual gameplay, it gets a little rougher. Since this game is played in 3D with 2D sprites representing the characters, it can be a little difficult to tell exactly where someone is and land an attack on them. Depth perception really messed with me in this game, and I found myself punching the air a lot. On top of this, the game doesn't really help you figure out how to play the game. Like, I had no idea you could heal for quite a while because the game just didn't tell me that you could, and it led to me just being confused or frustrated a lot. Like how at the beginning of the battle, you have this selection screen to choose what moves you want for what action. And I can see that it changes how the game plays, but I still don't really know what it means or if there is a certain way I should be doing it. You would think that playing the single player would let you figure this stuff out, but it doesn't really. The game just kind of throws you in and says, go fight Shadow now. Also in the single player mode, you have an overworld that you traverse by moving this cursor thing that guides Sonic around, but I don't know why I can't just control him directly because it's not like you have to click on anything, you are literally just running around. If anything, it makes the overworld more annoying as it just feels like your movements are being delayed. Overall, I think I may have preferred if it was just cutscenes between the gameplay, but I guess this overworld isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not good though. And then once you get into a battle, like I said earlier, they are very impressive, but can also be pretty clunky. Most of the attacks just don't feel that great to pull off, and there really aren't that many combos or moves you can do due to the limited buttons on the GBA. While maybe not as complex as Sonic the Fighters, I think that it would have been good to have a more complex moveset in this game to keep things interesting. Also in the campaign, you find this robot called a Merle who can learn moves of other characters and use them in his moveset. This means that you can completely customize his moveset once you unlock more moves and abilities. But one thing that was frustrating about that is actually doing it. You have a certain amount of points you can use to use new moves, but nowhere could I find how many points a move would take up, so I sort of just had to sit and test which ones would work with the points I had left, and which ones wouldn't. And also, playing as a Merle before getting many upgrades is just so miserable, and you usually don't have a choice, so that's just great. I didn't play this game for super long. I got to this fight against Knuckles and just got frustrated and quit. I can see why some people might like it, as it has some good parts to it, but I was ultimately just getting pretty frustrated with the game and wasn't having a good time. I think it may have been better just to make a traditional 2D fighting game, but I guess making it a 3D game on GBA did make it more recognizable. Alright, well, I think that's all of the Sonic fighting games. It definitely was not a long list, but I think I covered everything. Oh yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog has been present in the Super Smash Bros. Series ever since Brawl, and he has not changed at all since that entry. I like playing as him in Smash occasionally. I'm not really a competitive or hardcore player, I just play the characters that I think look cool. And I gotta say, I think his moveset is kinda lame. He's got fighting moves like punching, and I don't really feel like that represents the character super well. I mean, he does punch and kick in some of the games. We saw a lot of that in this video, but I feel like they had so many games to pull from and so many moves he can pull off that I don't really get why his moveset feels so bland. I get why he was like this in Brawl. Sega was indecisive and they had to put him in last minute, but why in Smash 4 or Ultimate he never got some kind of upgrade, I don't really know. And on top of that, I feel like his series isn't really represented super well, especially since I feel like it's a pretty big deal that the mascot of Nintendo's oldest rival is now a part of one of their largest series. Like literally one other character or stage, or maybe just a few more remixed tracks, like we literally only have one and the rest are untouched. But even though he isn't represented super well, Smash is still the best Sonic fighting game, which means that I have exited this video the same as how I entered it. Remember at the start of this video when I said I wanted to expand my fighting game horizons beyond Smash Bros? Well, it turns out the Sonic series was the worst possible one to choose. None of the games I talked about in this video were necessarily bad, but they mainly just felt mediocre. Both games had some great ideas and a lot of ambition, but both ultimately offered experiences that I don't really want to go back to. It sucks that the only games that offer a fun fighting game experience with Sonic in them are the ones that feel like they just sort of added him and then brushed him off and never really did anything else. Like Piranha Plant has a more fun and interesting moveset than Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though I'm not big into fighting games, it still sucks to see some of the lost potential of the games, as I think this character could work quite well in the genre. Good thing I'm a kart racing fan.